Alright lads, we're a little over 6 weeks away from a rematch that I'm looking forward to. I'm keen on. Alexander Povetkin versus Dillian Whyte in the rematch. Alright? Now, this fight, it's intriguing. I'm not going to say I'm excited. I am excited, but I'm excited for a few reasons. I'm excited to see what Povetkin looks like in this rematch. Will he have a new lease of life following that knockout win, or will he have regressed? With Dillian Whyte, I'm looking forward to see how he'll look in this fight. You know, he might want it. He can talk all he wants. He can talk a big game and say that, you know, he's going to go in there, make no changes, knock Povetkin out, this, that, and the other, right? But when he gets in there, and bear in mind, right, this is a guy who knocked him out cold. Now, he's never rematched Anthony Joshua, right? So Anthony Joshua knocked him out all them years ago, but he's not fought him. He's not rematched someone who's knocked him out yet, right? So he's going straight back in there, an immediate rematch with a guy who knocked him out in devastating, brutal fashion, okay? So we need to see how Dillian Whyte looks, because he could go into that, he could be given all the beans, he could be talking up a good game, he could go into that ring, he could look across from the guy who knocked him out, and he could hit him. And I don't mean a punch, I mean the memory of that first fight. It could hit him, hang on a minute, this guy knocked me out cold. I've got the memory of that. Maybe I put it to the back of my mind, but when you get in that ring, it comes to the forefront. So that's what I'm curious about. Now, if I'm in Dillian Whyte's team, right, he can give these interviews with IFL, Boxing Social, and he can say, look, I don't need to do anything different. You know, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to knock this guy out, I'm going to do all this, right? He can say all that he wants, right? But if you're in Team Dillian Whyte, you're going to want to look at Dillian Whyte and say, well, hang on, right? You made that mistake of staying in the pocket a little bit too long with this guy. You made that mistake. You left yourself open to them uppercuts. Do you really want to do that again, knowing the result of the first fight? Do you really want to take a risk and go in there, especially if he's live, and try and, you know, put it on this guy again, knowing that this guy can knock you out in one shot? Do you really, truly want to do that? I think that Dillian Whyte, to give himself the best chance in this fight, if I was in his team, this is what I'd be saying. I would say that look what you did right in the first fight. Look at what you did from a point of view of working off the jab with Povetkin. Povetkin landed a couple of body shots in there, but at long range, Dillian Whyte looked very good. I've always said it. Dillian Whyte's jab is a punch that he doesn't get enough credit for. All right? I noticed his jab when he was fighting Anthony Joshua. Now, that was back when he was trained by Jonathan Banks. All right? He was following Klitschko around the world. I suspect from those rounds with Klitschko, he did, and with Jonathan Banks, well, he did develop the jab. Because the jab he throws is actually very good. It's very underrated. People talk about Dillian Whyte's left hook, but his jab is very good. And I saw him give AJ some problems with that jab. So I think that if Dillian Whyte actually decides to move around the ring a little bit, pop the jab, use it, a bit like how we did against Oscar Rivas, you know, early on in that fight, I think he can have some very good success. Alexander Povetkin, right, he is at his most dangerous, at least for the most part, he is at his most dangerous early on in the fight. Now, the first 4 rounds of their fight back in August, I noticed straight away that Povetkin's timing was a bit off. For me, it did look, obviously his timing with that uppercut wasn't off, but for me, from the outside looking in, it looked like his timings with the hooks were off a bit. When he threw into the body, they were okay, but to the head, it seemed like they weren't quite there, right? His timing was just maybe a little bit of a fraction of a second off, okay? I would imagine it's going to be similar, because he's not getting any younger, you know, so the timing may start to regress even further. So early on, Dillian Whyte, I think that if I'm in his team, I'm saying, mate, you don't want to box this guy. You want to box this guy, and he was going to your body. Why don't you go to his body? Why don't you jab to the body? You know, we've seen Povetkin can tire a bit. He's got 41, probably nearly 42-year-old legs. I mean, get this guy's legs away from him. Don't give him the opportunity to close the distance, to get in close, and to counter you with them uppercuts. That is just from the outside looking at what I would be saying to Dillian Whyte. Now, that's all well and good. That's good advice. All right, in my opinion, it is. And I think that Dillian Whyte's team will be looking at doing something like that. My thoughts about this are, Dillian Whyte, as a person, All right, and we've seen it in interviews where he's talked about Anthony Joshua and things like that, where he said he wants to smash Deontay Wilder's face in, where he said Anthony Joshua was not a fighter. Dillian Whyte is one of those guys who is just fiery, right? And I think that this could be his detriment in this rematch, is that he has that fiery persona. When Dillian Whyte, you see, you often hear fighters say, I'm going to go into this fight and I'm going to do this, I'm going to put it on this guy, I'm going to do this, and they don't. Look at David Haye when he fought Valaev, right? He said he was going to go in there, he was going to knock Valaev out. He fought so cautiously, so defensively, right? Which was good, although it didn't make for compelling viewing, but it was good because it helped him pick up rounds, right? But he was saying he was going to do all this, he didn't, right? Because he wanted to almost, feed them. He wanted to just get them hook, line, and sinker, think they were going to do this and then do something else, okay? But Dillian Whyte, when he says he's going to go in there and try and steamroll Povetkin and try and knock him out, I believe that. Because I don't think it's in Dillian Whyte's MO to, coast or relax or just try and pick rounds up and stuff like that. So I think that although you could give him the best advice in the world and say, take the guy's legs away, box, jab to the body, keep it at distance, don't give him opportunities to counter. It's all well and good saying that. Can he implement that? Does he have the discipline, the mindset, the temperament to implement it? Dillian Whyte, definitely not, in my opinion. Dillian Whyte, I've said it before, I'll say it again. He's the kind of person where you go Dillian Whyte, walk into that room, and it's a room full of mirrors. He could start a row with himself. He's just that fiery, temperamental kind of guy. And I see in this rematch, I reckon he will buzz Povetkin at some stage early on. And I could easily see something similar happening. Maybe him not getting knocked out necessarily, but I can see an occasion where maybe he drops Povetkin or hurts Povetkin seriously, and rather than knowing that this guy is still probably live, he may just decide, I'm going to go and put it on this guy. And that's when I see him having trouble, because that's when he's going to give Povetkin chances to counter. That's when he's going to put himself in positions, because he's not got the quickest feet in the world, right? So if he goes in there and he starts trying to exchange, he's not got the foot speed to be able to get out, in and out of range in time, to be able to avoid them shots from Povetkin. Povetkin throws short, fast hooks, fast uppercuts. All right, look at the hooks he was hitting AJ with, or the uppercuts he was hitting AJ with. That, to me, is potentially where Dillian Whyte is going to come unstuck in this fight. And if he doesn't have the right temperament, and if he does go in there, like a bull in a china shop, like he says he'll do, then, oh boy, we could be in for a repeat. I'm not going to give a full blow-by-blow prediction on this fight, because I want to hold off on that until we get close to the fight, and I give my prediction, because I want to talk about it from the Povetkin side as well. But with this, I just wanted to touch on the mental aspect from Dillian Whyte. I want to know, because I'm interested, what is going on up there? How will he react when he gets into that ring? How will he have actually physically recovered from that knockout? Because by the time this fight comes, it'll be a little over 6 months. It'll be a little over 6 months when this fight comes around. Is it enough time to recover from that knockout defeat? I would imagine from a physical point of view, yeah, probably. I reckon the concussion that he definitely would have received is probably okay by now. The sparring mightn't help, but I reckon it's probably alright. It takes about 4 months, they say, to fully recover from a concussion. So I reckon he'd be alright. In terms of mentally, well, we just don't know. So that's the interesting part. That's the part I'm looking forward to. It's very strange, because you see fighters who, they should win these fights. They should win said fight, and they don't. They get knocked out, and then you're like, right, put them in a rematch. But you're in there again with a guy who's brutally knocked you out. And you might not have been in that situation as an amateur. You might not have been in that situation as a pro. You can give it all you want about, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be fine, I'm going to go in there and put it on him. But then when you're actually in that pressure situation, it's like, well, what are you going to do? That ring is the ultimate truth teller. It's the ultimate lie detector. So these are some of the things about this rematch that are intriguing to me. And I'm intrigued to see what Dillian Whyte does. I want to see how he gets on. I want to see what he's like in here. So I'm going to leave it there. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think Dillian Whyte's best course of action will be? What do you think he'll be like from a mental point of view? Do you think, like me, because I done a poll on my community tab, and the overwhelming majority believe that it's going to be Dillian Whyte winning by knockout, and the rest think it's going to be kind of Povetkin by KO. The points is kind of in there, but it's just kind of knocking around. Let me know your thoughts. Are you one of those, I think it was something like 60-something% who feels Dillian Whyte's going to win by KO? And if you do feel that way, let me know down below. Hope you all enjoyed it, lads. Smash the like button if you did. Subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. If this is your first time watching, welcome. Hope you're all going well. Hope your day is going fine. It's going up in the morning, so if you're watching it in the morning, enjoy your day. Hashtag G-Man's Rocks, all that good stuff. Lads, I'll talk to you. Peace.